stay right here, do not move. Like, you got to do that to people, because in that kind of high stress, people aren't thinking. He stepped back, loaded a third one, and as he come out and fired, Tig came up. You could see Tig start to shoot. Tig put about 8 rounds down there to him. We had a 7th man on that team, and that's Christ above. Ty had told him, hey, go out, turn left, don't go right, because remember, there's that Al-Qaeda safe house to the right. Well, they went out, and instead of turning left like they should have, they turned right and drove right into an ambush.
Shit.
Thank goodness they were in a Hilux pickup, not a Hilux, but a Toyota Land Cruiser.
Armored,
fully level 6. And
did they get right through the ambush?
Yeah, they did. They were lucky. They hit the gas. They did what they were, at least they did the one thing they were trained to do, is drive.
Yeah.
And but it was shot to shit. I could hear it coming. I'm back at the annex when it shows up, and I can hear it coming because I can hear the flop of the tires, that's running on run flats, and I just hear this duck, 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 duck. And so we got the gate open. They come in, and the front windscreen probably had, it was just shot to shit. 30, 40 bullet holes up and down both sides, tons of bullet holes. They were overwhelmed when they got out. Scott Wicklund was he had smoke inhalation because he was the AIC for that night with the ambassador, and got separated from him in the fire because Scott went out a window and was trying to bring the ambassador out that window, but didn't make it because the ambassador lost contact with him. It's a training mistake, and I don't like talking bad about it, but it was a failure on training. Scott, what we do is link on me. Mm-hmm. You grab a hold of me and hold on. Don't ever freaking let go. If I feel you let go, I'm turning around to look for you. That never happened.
Damn.
That's the only thing I can draw from it, because they got separated in the way Scott talked about it. He turned back around to look, and the ambassador wasn't there anymore. Well, you failed to get him to there, and stay right here, do not move. Like, you got to do that to people, because in that kind of high stress, people aren't thinking.
You have to tell people what to do, and that's another thing, with the Cold War stuff, kind of like what we were talking about before. Like, these types have never been in this type of situation, and so if you do not get in front of them, make eye contact, and place them, tell them what to do, give them a job, they can't function. They're not used to that amount of stress.
Right.
Nobody is.
No.
Very few
and
people.
If you don't, and we used to teach this in EMT school. If you're doing CPR and you come up on somebody and there's somebody standing around, you give somebody look them in the eye, you give them a direction. You go call 911.
Yeah. You
go direct traffic. You got to do same thing. You stay right here. I'm going out this window. I will turn around and get you. Mm-hmm. Or here, I'm going to, because he wanted to, his thing was he wanted to secure outside, make sure that he wasn't sending the ambassador out a window to get shot.
Yeah.
So while that's all going on, the counter assault happens, and there was a guy in the back. And by this time we have a drone footage. So they've got a drone overhead. So we're getting reports from them. And I didn't know they had a drone over at that time. I can't say I got any reports. I didn't know it until after I got out of the hospital. I got to see the drone footage. And you could see a guy with an RPG at the back gate to the consulate, and he steps out and he fires around, and it goes right over the ambassador's residence. You see this dot, you see the TIG, and it's TIG coming out of the building. He comes up the ladder and he's starting to come across the top of the rooftop. And to paint the picture for everybody out there is, 99% of the roofs over there are flat, and they've got a 3-foot basically wall around the top of them as a parapet. Works great, thank goodness for us, because it gives us cover and concealment to a small arms fire. But you could see Tig coming across, and the guy would hide behind the wall, load another RPG, step back out and fire another one, and it went over. And then he stepped back, loaded a third one, and as he come out and fired, Tig came up. You could see Tig start to shoot. Tig put about 8 rounds down there to him, and you could see the rounds. You could see the RPG had already launched, and you could see them coming like this. The tracer fire going past it as it's starting to come to Tig. Kills that guy. And this is where I tell people, I mean, because I call it the 7th man. We had a 7th man on that team, and that's Christ above. Because this RPG is coming like this and literally takes a 90-degree turn and goes off into the nowhere.
Wow.
And
Are you kidding me?
No. It's impossible.
Yeah. I
mean, RPG is 3.5 inch, 80 some millimeter freaking anti-tank round going 7,000 feet per second or something like that. 5.56 round, 22 on steroids coming at 2,800 feet per second, something like that. And it's like, boom, just that way.
Wow.
And that stopped the firefight. Tig killing that guy, it just died off, that attack. So at that time, they were still gathering up everything, and they had to make the decision to stay there and try to defend that place and search for the ambassador or fall back to the annex. And a guy came on and told them that they got a phone call that there was a local national who was on the compound that friendly said that, there's 100 guys coming this time. And so everybody loaded up and freaking took off. And as they're going, because when when they brought 2 vehicles up, and then when they unloaded the vehicles, over a gunfighter and consulate, that's where Tig shot the freaking 40 millimeter, and then he threw the weapon back in the car. And they were armored cars, so they locked those up and went down. When they left, they had one of the guys, and in the movies, and we don't talk about the team leader. Ty was our team leader, but he was our contractor team leader. There was a blue badge guy there too. He drove that car in, and that's how they left. Well, when they left, Tig's like, my bag, my go bag, and my 40 millimeter grenade launcher in that other vehicle, and didn't bring it back to the annex because they just had to haul ass and get out of there.
Why don't you guys talk about the Blue Badger?
Because he was still, at the time, he was still there working.
Okay.
And, it's just out of respect for that. Didn't want to, he's gone now.
Gotcha.
I think he's out of government service and all. I'd worked with him at a couple other places, and good guy. But again, I'd have a beer with him, but I wouldn't go to combat with him. And in the movie, his character, him and Bob's character were kind of combined.
Okay.
So for the movie's sake. But we got back, and they come back, and they rolled in, and, their first thing, hey, where do you got security? And I'm like, well, here, and here, and they knew where to fill. And so Tonto and DB got on top of one rooftop. Tig took the southeastern corner. Ty went Ty went inside and checked on the guys that had smoke inhalation because he was our medic as well. And Jack got up on a building, and I took the northeast corner.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.